We woke up, late evening, late at night, and she was smelling something. And she said, there's a horrible odor in the house. So we got up and started looking for it. And our basement has a door right by the bedroom, and we opened that door and looked down into the basement, and all we could see and smell was the sewer rolling in the window, just pouring in the window. It was deep enough you couldn't get down in the basement at all. We just had to leave the house and went and stayed in a motel. Started calling people, trying to find someone who could come and stop it from the city, first of all. And they sent some emergency people overnight out and got it stopped finally. And then it took us, gosh, how many days to get somebody to even come out to start cleaning up? 10, 12 days, something like that?
10 or 12 days.
Before we could even get somebody to start the cleanup.
And we were concerned about the health hazard of it with the neighbors and everything.
They finally got someone to come out and clean it up, started for somebody in Oklahoma City. And it took them 2 or 3 days of shoveling and getting the mess out, and then everything that was in the basement had to go.
Yeah, everything we had, you know, from like years of things that had, you know, meant something to us, you know, that we were saving for our children and our grandchildren, like rockers that I rocked my children in had to go, and the rocker that my daughter used had to go.
She's lived in that house since she was 12 years old.
Since I was 12 years old.
So it's 40 plus years she's lived in that house, all that time when her kids were growing up. So she's lived there a long time. There were a lot of memories, a lot of stuff in the basement stored there.
Mm-hmm.
And it all had.
And things from my husband, my previous husband that was killed in an accident. A lot of things that my daughters had wanted to save were down there, and they're gone. And things that my daughter had collected in Europe because her husband was a Secret Service agent, and they were stationed over there and had collected a lot of wonderful items, you know, that they wanted to keep, and all that was destroyed.
So after they got it all cleaned up and everything disinfected and back to semi-normal.
A few months later,
it
happened
backed
again.
up again. This time it wasn't quite as deep because we got the city out there earlier,
quicker,
to start trying to flush the sewer out and get it cleaned up this time. And so it didn't back up quite as deep, but it was probably 6 inches or more. And
all this time during the cleanup and the backup and the second backup, we're hesitant to even come back into the house, you know, even then, because you just feel like your house has totally changed forever. Yeah.
Once we got it all cleaned up and the city did what they could to do the flush out of the sewer down the lines, we called them and asked them about giving us back the money that we spent, because it all came out of our pocket. There's no insurance for it. Everything you spend is out of your pocket. It's all out-of-pocket expense. And their response was, they're not liable. They can't be held liable for anything that someone else could put in the sewer and back it up. They never proved what backed it up, whether it was something somebody put in there or just their sewer issues or what. Nobody knows.
It was a nightmare. It really was. So we were breathing in toxic fumes at that point, going in anytime we had to go back in for something. We got as much as we could out as soon as we could, but there were things that we didn't know that we needed, or we were hurrying to get out and didn't get in time.
Well, we were told that there was nothing that anybody would do because they weren't liable, and we got a letter in the mail, and not knowing that there was anything we could do, it said it was from the sewer lawyers. So I laughed and said, okay, let's open this up. And sure enough, it said, we can help. So we called them up and said, we need help.
And they said, thank God, they said, we can help. You know.
Yeah, the gentleman that was gonna come out couldn't make it that day, and so Crystal said, well, you're lucky. Mr. Buxton's coming. We said, no way. Yeah, and he did. He showed up, knocked on the door, said, I'm Jim Buxton, let's talk. So we did. We sat down and talked for probably an hour.
Oh, more than that. Yeah, it was.
Crystal and Jim have been amazing.
Yeah, Crystal and Jim are great to work with.
Yeah. They've been over backwards trying to figure things out and help us get back what we could recoup and plus just trying to ease your thought process and everything, and they've just
Right.
taken it and run with it.
Right. They've seen this happen to other people before, and they knew what we were going through. So they were always very.
Cut that.
I'm sorry.
I would recommend Jim to anybody, anytime, for anything. They are great. They really
Yes.
do a good job.
We both feel that way.
Yeah, we're back in the house, and we're waiting for Jim to finish up whatever they're doing on their side to close this out.
You know, I would just tell anyone that does have a backup, you know, to
Call
stand back, take
Call
a deep
Jim.
breath, and call Jim and Crystal. Because they're so supportive, and they're there for you, you know. You'll be a lifelong friend.